I've already explained plenty of times how Angel Studios, now known as Rockstar San Diego, began in my Midnight Club Street Racing and Red Dead Revolver reviews, so I'll only be brief. Angel Studios by the mid-90s were slowly transitioning into video games, after their work on 3D effects on multiple forms of media over the last decade. This caught the attention of Nintendo, who signed them up to become part of the Ultra 64 Dream Team, which they used to work closely with multiple publishers from around the world. And one of their standouts was Midtown Madness, where instead of having individual closed circuits, everything was set on an open map with checkpoints to pass through, along with a few other driving missions. Rockstar Games, who also saw open maps as the way of the future, were impressed with everything Angel Studios were doing at the time, and planning to truly set their mark on the next generation, made a deal with the developer to release a couple of launch titles for the PlayStation 2 in October 2000, in the style of Midtown Madness. These were Midnight Club Street Racing and Smuggler's Run. While Midnight Club turned into a series that improved each title well into the next generation, Smuggler's Run got a sequel in 2001, and that was it. In fact, the only thing that's known about this game is that it was originally called The Getaway, which couldn't be more of a coincidence. And when we think of Smuggler's Run nowadays, a lot of you will probably remember the free DLC for GTA Online in 2017, which has a very similar presentation.
I've heard about you. Apparently you can drive and you don't care too much for rules and regulations. There's millions of dollars flowing illegally into this country every day. Untaxable and untraceable goods, illegal merchandise, weapons, everything. And all of it needs to be brought in. And that's where we come in.
You're a smuggler performing jobs across the American borders between either Canada or Mexico, delivering contraband including gold, jewels, money, medical supplies, unknown cases, etc., as well as a few other things like destroying antennas and keeping rivals off your back. On first impression, it's just Midnight Club Street Racing. Same developer, publisher, release date, checkpoint-based gameplay, even the intro video and menu setup that reminds me of the first couple of Gran Turismo games on the PS1. Just replace the street races and city skyscrapers with off-roaders, mountains, and multiple terrains. It really wouldn't surprise me if this was the inspiration for Trevor Phillips Industries in Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like choosing which game fits your personality best. Besides, it's not like there were many launch titles to choose from. All the best games came out the next year. But which one is better? Well, the maps aren't designed as precisely as the ones in GTA or Midnight Club. There aren't as many purpose-placed jumps, and most checkpoints point where the crow flies. It's a drawback, but one that I know the developers improved massively over time. After reviewing the entire Midnight Club series recently, traveling back in time, I can tell they were still developing their map building skills. One of the biggest reasons why I prefer to review game franchises in the correct order. However, it comes at the cost of not being as detailed. It's mostly just empty land with a few buildings, bridges, and small town. I mean, it's a launch title that uses a CD format, so I wasn't expecting anything massive. Thing is, I remember loving Capture the Flag in Midnight Club, and was disappointed they didn't utilize other game modes in the career mode, which despite the sense of speed, made it more repetitive than necessary since there wasn't anything else to make up for it, other than racing different routes. And that's where Smuggler's Run has the advantage. Some involve rival smuggling teams including race sprints just like Midnight Club, and loot grab, which is basically Capture the Flag. I love this one in particular. It seems like the only type of job I can master, and get a few laughs out of waiting for the opponent to pick up a valuable item and nick it just before they drop it off.
Why, you cheeky git! Give it back, you heathen! Very clever, very full of us. Sorry. Next time I'll kill you!
I also like some of the names for these jobs. This one can't be a coincidence considering they were developing Red Dead Revolver at the time. It's not about how quickly you perform these jobs, well, it is, but it's more about how little damage you can take, because getting hit loses money, and that's what affects the grade. And of course, taking too much damage stalls the car, and if the police catch you in that state, you're under arrest!
You're under arrest, sir!
I really don't see the point of time remaining adding to the score since it's so little, especially by the time you reach the latter part of the career mode. By then, all you'll be thinking about is completing the mission and nothing else.
You are behaving extremely foolishly. Stop now!
Because out of any Rockstar game I've ever played, the police are at their most ruthless.
Take it easy. You're insane. Please get out of your vehicle.
I seriously compare them to the main antagonists of future Rockstar classics. One distinct feature about all of them is how protected they are pretty much the whole story. You have that same feeling here as well. At least in Grand Theft Auto you can fight back, and in Midnight Club you have so much health they're almost a non-factor. In Smuggler's Run they're always faster than you, they increase in numbers as you progress through the career mode, completely invincible, and while you have regenerating health, they can suck it dry in a second. I mean, look at that car flying in the air like that. That's how fast they are and how hard they charge at you. Even at top speed, their impacts are noticeable, and there's only so little you can do about it.
You are proving very irritating.
You have multiple vehicles to choose from that differentiate between acceleration, speed, handling, and strength, but from my experience, the heavier vehicles like SUVs and pickup trucks are the only ones to select. Now, all the cars feel like they're made of cardboard, and because the maps are made up of mountains where the surface is made of dirt, sand, and snow, the elevations aren't as visible. It's more unpredictable to drive through compared to cities. That's what makes it hard to describe the controls. Quite slippery, but tolerable. However, the map makes more of a difference. And because you can't control vehicles in mid-air, that also increases the chances of rolling over. No, let me rephrase that. Guarantees rolling over. So what's the point of selecting a fast, light rally car or buggy? Because no matter what vehicle you select, every single police car is faster than you. Why go for the car that has less health and is more prone to rolling? After all, there's no real strategy to shake them. You think you can sharp corner like this, but because multiple cars chase you at once, there's always going to be another police car 1 second later that's going to spear you. Basically, if you slow down while they're close, that's it. You might as well hold the accelerator on at all times.
You think you're big stuff, huh? You got cojones, huh? You got luck, nothing more.
I actually agree with you, mate. There is trial and error in the sense of working out the best route to pick up and deliver items, and even a free roam mode without police. But all these other factors, everything looking the same, the barely visible uneven surface, not being able to control the car in mid-air, and all the police charging at you like a football linebacker, this in particular, make for an uneven difficulty balance where completing the missions are mostly luck-based, making sure the police don't nudge you too much, and your next attempt will always be different than the last, for better or worse. You just have to hope they slide or roll themselves.
You ain't driving a tank, tough man. What you doing? That was once a car. You asleep there, baby? Very good, baby. Very good.
When I reached halfway through the game, every time I stopped playing, it was the result of rage quitting. You can attempt the same job for over half an hour, maybe an hour, and others where you complete 3 straight jobs in one attempt, even towards the end of the game. At the time, Smuggler's Run was a good way to prove they can make open maps outside of cities set during the present and explore different themes. It might have opened the door for other opportunities to expand the franchise like Midnight Club did, including customization options, tuning, bigger maps in other countries like Smuggler's Run 2 did briefly, and maybe even an in-depth story. But there were a lot of external factors that stopped that from happening. Midnight Club Street Racing outsold Smuggler's Run by over 1 million copies, making it clear that street racing was what gamers wanted more. Angel Studios, who would eventually be bought out by Rockstar, were already in a development hell with Red Dead Revolver. They can only make so many games at once, and by today's standards, anything by Rockstar requires all subsidiaries to work together, and they'll be thinking more ambitiously than an off-road smuggling racket. As proven in Grand Theft Auto 5 on and offline, it can be done in the form of what is essentially a mini-game in one of their giant open-world titles, which is why I'm not exactly holding my breath for a full-fledged sequel. Smuggler's Run looks alright for a launch title, the controls are simple, it's easy to pick up and play with plenty to do for the price you pay today, but it's too luck-based to get any sense of satisfaction when completing a job, and that's why I wouldn't recommend it. Just stick to Midnight Club.
Look after your car better, baby. Everything's good, baby. It's all good.